A barcode you've scanned 100 times now quietly says, "Made in Canada." But wasn't that an all-American brand? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 10 iconic American brands that have quietly moved their production north. The answers might surprise you. Let's start big, with a vehicle that's as bold as its story, the Ford Flex. When it first rolled onto the scene, the Flex turned heads with its boxy, unmistakable silhouette and family-first design. It was marketed as the ultimate American family SUV, a car that could handle road trips, soccer practice, and everything in between. But what most people don't realize is that the Flex's journey is a tale of international collaboration and North American ingenuity. While the Flex was dreamed up and designed by Ford's talented team in Michigan, every single one of these SUVs was actually built north of the border, in Oakville, Ontario. The Oakville Assembly Complex became the exclusive home of the Flex, turning out thousands of these distinctive vehicles each year. The plant itself is a sprawling testament to Canadian manufacturing expertise, with workers who take immense pride in their craft. From its debut in 2008 until the end of production in 2019, not a single Ford Flex was assembled on American soil. Instead, the Oakville plant handled every step, from welding the frame to installing the final trim. This was a unique arrangement in the auto industry where most vehicles are built closer to their primary markets. But for the Flex, Canada was the only place it called home during its entire production run. Why Oakville? The answer comes down to a combination of factors. Oakville offered lower labor costs compared to many American plants, but it wasn't just about saving money. The plant had a reputation for world-class quality and efficiency, with a workforce that was both highly skilled and deeply committed to building vehicles that would stand the test of time. Every Flex that rolled off the line was the result of meticulous attention to detail and a culture of excellence. Once completed, these Canadian-built SUVs didn't stay in Canada for long. In fact, over 80% of all Ford Flexes were shipped right back across the border, destined for American driveways from coast to coast. The Flex became a familiar sight on U.S. highways, a symbol of American family life, yet its roots were firmly planted in Canadian soil. This cross-border journey highlights the deep economic ties and shared history between the two countries. Today, the Oakville Assembly Complex is undergoing a dramatic transformation. Ford is investing billions to retool the plant for the next generation of electric vehicles. Soon, the same facility that once built the Flex will be at the forefront of the electric revolution, producing cutting-edge EVs for a new era of drivers. It's another chapter in the story of American innovation, one that's still being written in Canada. The story of the Ford Flex is more than just the tale of a single SUV. It's a blueprint for how cross-border manufacturing can thrive, adapting to new challenges and opportunities. As the auto industry evolves, the partnership between Canada and the United States continues to drive progress, proving that when two nations work together, they can build vehicles and futures that are greater than the sum of their parts. Remember Shreddies? For many Americans, the name might spark a wave of nostalgia, a memory of childhood breakfasts spent around the kitchen table, pouring milk over those distinctive woven wheat squares. Shreddies was once a familiar sight in pantries across the United States, a staple that brought families together for generations. In the 1970s and 80s, Shreddies was as American as apple pie, lining supermarket shelves alongside other breakfast favorites. Kids would beg their parents for the latest box, often lured by colorful packaging and the promise of a prize inside. It was a part of the morning ritual, a taste that defined an era. But times changed. Today, Shreddies is no longer made in the United States. Instead, every single box comes from Niagara Falls, Ontario, where the cereal is produced exclusively for the Canadian market. The factory, marked with a proud maple leaf, now serves as the heart of Shreddies production. The shift happened when General Mills, the company behind Shreddies, decided to shut down U.S. production. The move was all about efficiency and cost savings. By consolidating operations in Canada, they could streamline manufacturing and distribution. It was a business decision, but it changed the cereal's identity forever. Now Canadians enjoy Shreddies at prices lower than what Americans ever paid. The cereal is a point of pride, often found on sale in grocery stores from coast to coast. For many Canadians, Shreddies is more than just breakfast. It's a symbol of national identity, a taste of home. Meanwhile, American fans are left with only memories. Some scour specialty import shops or ask friends to bring back boxes from trips north of the border. Others reminisce about the days when Shreddies was just a grocery run away, flipping through old ads and remembering the taste that's now out of reach. The story of Shreddies is a fascinating example of how a beloved brand can switch national identity almost overnight. What was once a shared North American tradition is now a uniquely Canadian experience, showing how business decisions can reshape the foods we love and the memories we cherish. French Toast Crunch, pure 90s Americana, right? Not anymore. When General Mills revived it in 2014, every box was made in Canada, thanks to tax breaks and lower costs. Millions of Americans have been eating Canadian-made nostalgia for a decade, never knowing the difference. The branding is American, but the cereal is all Canadian. When you think of American trucks, you probably picture the Chevy Silverado HD and the GMC Sierra HD, two titans of the road, built for power, endurance, and the kind of muscle that's become synonymous with American automotive engineering. These trucks are more than just vehicles. They're icons, representing decades of tradition, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of strength and reliability. For generations, they've been the backbone of job sites, farms, and highways across the United States, trusted by millions to get the toughest jobs done. But here's a twist you might not expect. Nearly half of these legendary trucks aren't actually built in the US anymore. Instead, they roll off the assembly lines in Oshawa, Ontario, a Canadian city with a rich automotive history of its own. This shift northward is reshaping the story of what it means to be American-made. General Motors made the strategic decision to move a significant portion of its heavy-duty truck production to Oshawa, lured by generous government incentives and the promise of more flexible labor agreements. These factors made Canada an attractive destination for manufacturing, allowing GM to invest billions into modernizing the Oshawa plant and securing its future as a key player in North American auto production. Today, the Oshawa assembly plant is a hive of activity, operating around the clock to meet the insatiable demand for these high-margin trucks. The facility has become a critical hub in GM's global supply chain, producing some of the company's most profitable and sought-after vehicles. Every truck that leaves the line is a testament to the skill and dedication of the Canadian workforce. Inside the plant, Canadian workers, many of whom have deep family ties to the auto industry, bring these trucks to life. Their craftsmanship and attention to detail ensure that every Silverado HD and Sierra HD meets the rigorous standards expected by American drivers. In many ways, these workers are the unsung heroes behind the trucks that define American-made. This quiet shift in production is blurring the lines of national identity in manufacturing. As trucks built in Canada proudly wear "Made in the USA" labels, it challenges us to rethink what those words really mean in a globalized world. The heartbeat of American trucks now echoes from Oshawa, redefining the very essence of American automotive pride. Oh, Henry, an American classic, discontinued in the US but thriving in Canada. Hershey Canada kept the bar alive, making it in Ontario and exporting it back to the States. Canadian efficiency and lower costs saved the brand from extinction. If you find an Oh, Henry in the US today, it's a Canadian import. Heinz Ketchup, an American staple but increasingly made in Leamington, Ontario. Drought and high costs in California pushed production north, where water and tomatoes are more reliable and affordable. Canadian-grown tomatoes now fill American bottles. The ketchup in your fridge might owe its life to Ontario's fields. Lay's Doritos Cheetos. Frito-Lay's Canadian plants now supply much of northern US. Labor disputes and rising costs in the US made Canadian production more attractive. Cheaper energy and stable supply chains keep shelves stocked on both sides of the border. Your favorite chips might be more Canadian than you think. Kellogg's, born in Michigan but now many classic cereals are made in Belleville, Ontario. Upgraded Canadian plants and lower costs led to downsizing in the US. The flakes in your bowl are likely Canadian, a product of globalized efficiency. The legacy of Battle Creek now lives on north of the border. Quaker Oats and Gatorade, American icons, but much of their North American supply comes from Peterborough, Ontario. Lower water and energy costs make Canadian production more efficient. The Peterborough plant is a linchpin for both Canadian and US markets. When you grab a Gatorade, you might be drinking Canadian water and power. Shredded wheat, once a US invention now made entirely in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Cheaper hydropower, labor and grain subsidies made the Canadian plant unbeatable. The American original is gone, the name is all that's left. It's the ultimate example of a brand's identity moving north. 10 products, all American in spirit, but now Canadian in production. This is the new reality, where efficiency, resources and incentives redraw the map. The story of Made in America is more complicated than ever. Subscribe for more stories that reveal the hidden journeys behind everyday products.